I've been working the night shift at this gas station for about 6 months now. It's usually uneventful, a few truckers, the occasional college kid buying snacks, and a lot of silence. It's the kind of job where your mind starts wandering. Tonight was no different, at least at first. Around 2 a.m., the station was dead quiet. The only sound was the faint hum of the fluorescent lights and the occasional buzz of a moth trying to get through the glass. I was sitting behind the counter, flipping through my phone, when I noticed movement on the security monitor. The screen was grainy, but I could make out someone walking in from the far edge of the lot, just past where the lights start to fade into darkness. At first, I didn't think much of it. Probably just a customer, though it was odd they parked so far out. Most people pull right up to the pumps. The figure moved slowly, almost deliberately, and as they got closer, I noticed something strange. They weren't heading toward the station or the pumps. They were just pacing along the edge of the lot. I tried to shrug it off. Maybe they were lost or waiting for someone. But something about the way they moved set me on edge. Their steps were too deliberate, like they wanted to be seen but didn't want to come closer. After about 5 minutes of watching them on the monitor, I decided to step outside. Big mistake. The cold night air hit me as I leaned out the door and called, "Hey, you need help or something?" No response. The figure stopped pacing and turned to face me. Even under the dim glow of the parking lot lights, I couldn't make out their face. They were wearing a hood, and the shadows seemed to cling to them like a second skin. They just stood there, staring. My chest tightened. "Look, if you don't need gas or anything, you can't hang around here," I said, trying to sound firm. Still no response. Then slowly, they took a step toward me. That's when I bolted back inside, slamming the door behind me. My heart was pounding as I locked it and grabbed the phone. I glanced back at the monitor, expecting to see the figure at the door, but the screen was empty. They were gone. I dialed the non-emergency line for the local police. As I was explaining what happened, I glanced outside again. The lot was still empty. No sign of the person. The dispatcher assured me they'd send a car to check things out, but I could tell from her tone she thought I was overreacting. By the time the patrol car arrived, the figure hadn't reappeared. The officer did a quick sweep of the lot and found nothing. He told me to call again if anything happened, and drove off. I tried to settle back into my routine, but I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being watched. Every creak of the building, every flicker of the lights made my skin crawl. At around 3:30 a.m., just as I was convincing myself it was all in my head, I heard a soft tapping sound. It wasn't coming from the front door, it was at the window next to the co. I work the night shift at a small diner on the outskirts of a quiet Pennsylvania town. It's a classic place. Red vinyl booths, chrome counters, and a neon sign that buzzes faintly in the dark. Most nights are uneventful. A few truckers passing through, locals grabbing coffee, nothing out of the ordinary. But that night, something was different. It was just past midnight, and the diner was empty. The radio played softly in the background, the kind of oldies music that would normally comfort me. But tonight it felt eerie. The wind outside howled, rattling the windows, and the fluorescent light above the counter flickered sporadically. I was wiping down the counter when I noticed him. An old man, dressed in a long, dark coat, stood outside by the neon sign. He wasn't moving, just standing there, staring at the diner. I froze, my hand gripping the cloth. I'd seen my share of late-night drifters, but something about him made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. Finally, he stepped inside, the bell above the door jingling. His footsteps echoed on the tiled floor as he made his way to the counter. His face was pale, and his eyes looked vacant, like they were seeing something far away, or maybe nothing at all. "Coffee," he rasped, his voice barely audible. I nodded, trying to keep my composure. As I poured the coffee, I felt his gaze on me. It wasn't just the usual curiosity, it was heavy, invasive. When I placed the cup in front of him, his hand brushed mine. His skin was ice cold. "You're alone tonight," he said, not as a question but a statement. My stomach churned. "It's a quiet shift," I replied, forcing a smile. He didn't drink the coffee. Instead, he just sat there staring at me with that unsettling intensity. Minutes passed, but they felt like hours. I busied myself with cleaning, keeping one eye on him. That's when I noticed his reflection in the stainless steel of the counter. His mouth was moving, but no sound was coming out. Then the radio cut out, replaced by static. The diner lights flickered violently, plunging the room into brief moments of darkness. When the light steadied, the old man was gone. The coffee cup sat untouched on the counter. I rushed to the door, looking outside, but the street was empty. The only sound was the wind. When I stepped back inside, I noticed something etched into the counter where he had been sitting. 3 words scratched deep into the metal. He's coming soon. I never worked another night shift again. Thank you for watching. See you next time.